Hey everyone, this is Jonathan from Leica's Mobile Mapping Support Group. Just picking up on this video where we left off, where we just created all of our links on this project, and then we optimized right at the end of the video. So in this video, we're going to go over checking our optimization, and then also doing some QA and using some of the inspection tools that we have in here to make sure that our data is looking the way we want it before we move on. So as you'll see, we have optimization completed here at the end of the step. But if you remember from the other video, these values were yellow and higher before the optimization, and our links were all white. Now our links are all green, showing their quality level. So I hit close here. Now we have one yellow link there, actually. So the first thing that we can do is, let me turn some of this back on so we can get a reference as to what we're looking at. We can go to our control points and cloud-to-cloud menus on the right-hand side and just visually look at our RMS values after the adjustment. So these are the GCPs. These are our actual control points and the adjustment that was made to them. So not too bad. We can cycle down through here and look. Not too many outliers there. We've got one that's 200s, 300s, 600s. There's a 600s. So not too bad. But we can look at the adjustment this way on this tab, and here's our cloud-to-cloud link as well. But aside from that, we also have the ability to just manually inspect, and that's, there's no substitute for the human eye when it comes to just visually inspecting your point cloud data. So the first way that I will go about doing that usually is down here in the bottom left-hand corner of the software. You have these two options. You have 3D view and True Slicer. The first one is the 3D view. We'll go over. It basically puts us into this this orbiting mode here, where we can zoom in, and now whenever I left click and rotate, we're actually moving and seeing the whole point cloud. So this is a good visual way to just take a look at some items and objects in the 3D scene. Like we would be looking in this case maybe at some poles. We might be looking at some signs and things just to see if we have any like ghosting or double features. We could look at some curbs or guide rails just to make sure. After we create the high resolution point cloud too, this will be a little bit easier to use this tool for QA purposes. But in our case right now, just as a general, we're looking for major outliers that we don't want to deal with, or that we need to go back and we're looking to see if we need to add any additional control after our initial optimization phase. So we'll look around here a little bit more, just make sure that we don't see anything out of the ordinary. And the other tool that we'll use is the True Slicer, which we saw down here. So what the True Slicer will do, I'll go ahead and click on it now to show you. The first thing it'll do is it'll cut a vertical slice through the data. So you can see we have a 2D slice. It's in the Z direction, and then this is the slice thickness. So what it's doing, if we adjust the slider, is you'll see that slice size is going down there, and then as we increase it, it's going up. That is controlling the thickness of this slice. So what we had it at was like 3 feet. So this is a 3-foot slice on the Z-axis, in which case we can go up here and click our view cube too to get back into a top-down view. This is a pretty good way to inspect your vertical or your horizontal quickly. So I go through here and look at the edges of buildings, making sure they're lining up, making sure we don't see any sort of crazy double buildings here or anything that's too far out of the ordinary. So far it all looks pretty good. And the next thing that we can do is we can click on this button for trajectory, and then you can see that I have track 4 selected over here already. But if I were to go to track 1, I can do the same. So if I go back to Z, select track 1, and then click trajectory, you'll see that we'll end up we're locked in on track 1 now. So it's doing the same exact thing. We have our slice thickness that we can control here. You can see the width is going along it, and then you have slice location and the step option. So the step option controls how much distance is between each jump. So when we click this arrow, you'll see it's moving down the road. If I change this, right now it's 3 feet. If I change this to 10 feet, you'll see now the jumps are a little bit more significant. So you can increase that to whatever you need to. and it will follow this trajectory that we've picked. So as we go along here, what I usually will do is maybe turn the slice thickness down, and I'll turn off these lines so we can see a little bit better. But I'm just looking for like any sort of vertical separation, basically. So that being said, we might run down through a little bit more. This tool is, like I said, used just to give yourself some peace of mind and some QA when you're looking through your data set. So you can go through and check visually everything that you've got. If I want to go back out, I will, sorry, I've got it locked in 2D now, so as I go through here, it's going to, before I had it locked into 3D. Now it's going to keep me locked to looking straight down on my slice section, so I can just quickly inspect this. So all that looks good on that pass. Let's go back and we'll go back to our top-down view. And so we sort of checked along this route. Now another good idea would be to maybe grab track 3 and do a slice there. Now the slicer will zoom in to wherever you're looking at the current time. So if I zoom out here, you can see that's where it took us in on track 3. I'm going to zoom all the way down here, and then we'll start our slicer there. So you can see there it started at the end. So I'm just going to go through in 10-foot intervals again, just to see that we don't have any sort of outliers. Now this is just kind of one point cloud at the moment, so we're not going to see any sort of spacing. But you can see now you've got other colors starting to come in, so we've got other point clouds that are getting thrown into the mix, and we just want to check and make sure everything lines up, which in this case it looks really good here. Looks pretty good there. We don't have any big vertical separation. Basically, we're just confirming that our optimization worked well. Yeah, this looks really solid. So we'll just keep on going through just to make sure everything looks all right. So I'm keeping it on this 3D, or keeping it on 2D so that it's looking straight down on the slicer. Then we can sort of get an idea. Now, if let's say we did find a problem, like there's no problem here, but if we were to find a problem, we could go into the 3D view, and then that would take us out into this location. So then we can figure out where this is. We could even tag it with a point. You know, we could say right there, that gives us the coordinate that we need to check. But most importantly, we could just go back into 3D view here and put a link here. You know, like let's say that we found that there was an issue here. We could add a link in to help tighten this up, and then rerun our optimization. You don't want to rerun the optimization too much. You know, just a few times. It's probably all you should need before maybe going back and starting over. You don't want to just keep on adding and compiling optimization after optimization. And I guess in that case, what I mean is, don't add links in the same spot and then expect it to change the result too much if you've got another link right beside it, because it's still going to take into account this link. So if I had something that was going wrong here and I added another link right here, it probably would not change to the result that I really want as much as it would be if I got rid of these links and then added a new link in here to change the adjustment. So it's not fighting that original link that didn't give me the result that I wanted. So anyway, the data set looks pretty good. From this point on, I guess what we would do is just move on to the finalize and export stage if we're happy with the results. If we weren't happy with the results, we always have the option to go into this trajectory folder. So you'll see now, here I am in my test project folder. I've got in the job folder, then trajectory. You'll see after we ran the optimization, we have more CTS files here. So before we just had this CTS file from our original processing. Now we've got opt1 for optimization 1. So this is our secondary result. If we wanted to revert back to original, we could just go click on this on the processing tab and import this. Or let's say that we wanted to go back to this optimization, wipe our links, and then add new links in. This is how you could do that as well. So you can always go into this trajectory folder and grab a CTS to revert your trajectory to a phase that it was at this point. But that's going to do it for this video. And the next one, we're going to go over the Finalize and Optimization tab, and that'll be it. That'll be a full project.